because we believe that as the UDA party, we should forge ahead as a team. Someone has asked us, where are you as comrades? The reason we started this Comrades chapter is because we wanted to make sure that we involve the comrades from everywhere within this country. We've been in Nairobi, we've been in Kisumu, we've been in Nakuru. Right now we are in Eldoret, we have been in Mombasa, and we are going the entire country to make sure that comrades are involved in leadership and in governance of the UDA party. And all these comrades that you're seeing here leading this team, these are university students from the entire country, which are constituted in making sure that we lead the Comrades chapter the entire country. So, hawa wanaongoza hii kitu, hakuna mapapet hapa. These are your colleagues, and you're the ones who elected them in different universities. Number 2, tulieni, wacheni pressure. Tulieni. Number 2, we believe out of this Comrades chapter, this is where we got so many people into leadership from the university. A good example is our Secretary General, Hassan Omar, who is seated here today. He was a student leader at Moi University, and I am going to give him, he's going to talk the issue about Moi University and the issues that are going on there, and we will not allow Moi University to go down, because this is one of the most prestigious universities in this country. So hii issue ya Moi University lazima tutaisolve, si ndio? Because we believe Moi University has brought up leaders. A good example is SG Hassan Omar. Our chair, Cecil Barire, was also a student leader. Akina Babu Owino were student leaders. So we believe out of this, many of you will be members of parliament. Many of you will be CEOs. Many of you will be governors. Many of you will be in the governance issues of this country and in the center of the governance of this country. That is the reason we are here today. Someone has asked about the grassroots elections. As you know, most of you had paid for the grassroots elections. But because of so many issues, the GNZ came up, so many other issues came up. We believe from, I think, January, we will go back to the elections that we had already planned, and your money will not go in vain. And I want to encourage each and every one of you, take part in these elections, be part of the party, because this party belongs to you and me. Let us make sure that we build this party. And out of these grassroots elections, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, you are going to be the MCAs in your regions. You are going to be senators in your regions. You're going to be governors and members of parliament in your region. And I am telling you this today. Personally, I was elected at 33 years old. This party, so many people wanted to be given the ticket of UDA. But someone believed in me. Someone held my hand. Someone walked with me. I am the first person to be in the executive of the party as a first-time member of parliament, being a treasurer. What I'm telling you this today, believe in yourself, trust yourself, believe in yourself. The UDA party does not favor anyone. As long as you are there and you get everything right, the UDA party will hold your hand. Personally, Dr. William Samoei Ruto held my hand. I knew nobody, I had no godfather, but God the Father, through William Ruto, held my hand and made me the treasurer of the ruling party. So, what I want to tell you today, comrades, always trust and believe in yourself. There was one issue that I am very passionate about, but the people of NEA are not here today. The National Employment Authority are not here today. I'm very passionate about NEA, National Employment Authority, because the president has signed so many bilateral labor agreements, jobs that are abroad. I know not all of us can get jobs within the country, but any opportunity that comes up, especially in the National Employment Authority, it is a good chance for us as young people to also look for those opportunities and go abroad. But I know there has been an issue, especially here in Rift Valley, especially on the first choice and the Finland issue, which I think National Employment Authority was supposed to be here so that we address that issue, because so many young people have lost money out of institutions or agencies that take their money, eat their money, and these young people don't get an opportunity to go outside there and study. And personally, I'm very passionate about NEA, and I really wanted them to be here, but Professor Machuki is here. Kindly, I request you to address the issue of NEA and how the young people who spent their money, who their parents sold their properties, sold their cows, sold their land so that they can take students abroad, but someone somewhere took their money and they are here, not very favorable on that issue. So I believe that we should work together, and as a party, we will make sure that we mentor the young people of this country, because they are the leaders of today. Asanteni sana, na kutoka hapa tuna transact. Transact! Comrades, transact! Treasurer hawezi kuwa hapa na SG kuwa hapa alafu mkose transaction. God bless you. Mungu awa bless jama.
Asante sana. Comrades power. Comrades power. Many years back, kutoka Mombasa, I traveled by bus to come to Eldoret to join Moi University way back in 1995. I did not know then that Moi University and the great city of Eldoret was going to be the beginning of my political career in this country. It is for that reason today that we have decided, in the same vein and in the same breath, that once upon a time, when a platform was created for us to engage government, it is today for that reason, myself, my brother Aaron Cheriot, my sister Cicely Mbarire, who together we lead the UDA party, who are all students' leaders, decided that we must engage the comrades directly. I am grateful for one thing today before the Almighty God. That in you, the conversation in this country must shift. With the same passion, you must discuss healthcare, you must discuss the new funding model, we must discuss agriculture, we must discuss everything. We must shift the conversation from ethnicity to issues. And that's what the Kenya Kwanza government has tried to do. Nyote, hapa, hakuna mtu amezungumza kabila yake, hakuna mtu aliyezungumza kikao chake, ama kule anatoka. Nyote mlizungumza yale malalamishi na zile issues that affect you directly. And for that, we are extremely grateful. Number two, I want to assure you, this platform is not a platform in futility. It will not be in vain. One or two of you came with a good idea. And they came to the UDA Secretariat to say, under the leadership of Brian and others, that it is important to create a platform to engage the youth directly, particularly students in institutions of higher learning. They are not puppets. They are not sellouts. They simply came with a good idea that we embraced. That good idea, sometimes you might come with a good idea, but other people might improve it for you. There will be an opportunity for Brian and Deborah and everybody else who sit in the governing council, that within these students, they will ask that those who they elect democratically for you to pave way as interim officials. That is something that would happen in due course, and eventually it must happen. But first and foremost, we must finish our circuit all over Kenya. We have 4 or 5 more town halls to go so that we are more representative in terms of the conversation. Finally, I was very excited. That young lady who spoke there is actually going to be a leader. Her only question was, how do I take over this party? Bona election haziendelei. It is the pragmatic thing to do for you to capture power you must be in institutions that compete for power. They manifest themselves in political parties. So hata kama uko na ari nyingi, hata kama uko na nini ile changamoto nyingi, if you do not anchor your effort in political organizations, those that are established, those that you will establish, your effort is in vain. That's why you don't need to be leaderless, you don't need to be faceless. Some of you need to emerge as the leaders of those organizations. Now this is not only the present, the UDA is conscious that the future of this country and the present of this country, of this party, is within the youth. And for that reason, the elections as suggested or proposed will proceed, hopefully from January, moving forward, we will proceed with the elections. Those of you ambao wanataka uongozi, kuchaguliwa ndani ya chama na kuchaguliwa katika nyadhifa tofauti, the party will hold free and fair elections so that hata hii kiti ya SG, hata hii kiti ya treasurer, hata hii kiti ya chairperson, zote will be up for grabs. So therefore, it will be for us to compete or for you to win these seats. We are only holding this party in trust for you so that once the grassroots elections are concluded, those who will be elected popularly will represent this party and take it to the next level. Finally, I think I'm happy that these men and women here have taken the courage to come and face the questions in terms of a town hall. The most effective, tested, and trusted avenue of direct democracy is through town halls. We will continue to have these town halls, no matter how emotional they are, no matter how sometimes anxious they become, because it is not in our interest to stage manage these things. It is our interest to hear an honest conversation from the youth of this republic, represented by the cream who sit in institutions of higher learning. Lastly, hata kama yule alisema mtu fulani alitolewa haraka, wajua sasa deputy president anatoka Moi University, yule anaingia SG ya chama anatoka Moi University. Hiyo Moi University haiwezi kwenda mahali, itabakia tu. Because I will not have a degree in my office that has no institution. Simi nimeweka hapo degree na ile foundation of knowledge. My life was largely in Keses and Cheptiret. I believe the university, and Professor Machuki will explain that, the whole idea was to ensure that universities are made sustainable. Mimi nilikuwa at the same time at the university, Moi University, na Professor Machuki. Professor Machuki was studying economics, I was studying law. He made the right decisions, I didn't. In a light touch. Professor remembers very well, at that time, Professor used to get 40,000 in student loan through the Higher Education's Loans Board. I used to get 18,000. Sijui kwa nini walinipa 18,000, lakini mimi pia nilijihisi ni maskini. Lakini it is because of the information we provided. Niliandika iko kanyumba kadogo, babangu ali-inherit. So ikanipeleka credit yangu ikawa juu. Nikaandika niko na kitu nyingine kidogo, ni watu mama ako naye, ikapeleka credit yangu juu. Labda Professor Machuki aliandika hakuna nyumba, hakuna kazi, hakuna chochote. Ikasema hapa yote mimi nikanyimwa nusu. So we need to have a way that we engage to ensure that this system is foolproof. Hata katika ulimwengu, Professor usema kila siku, there are haves and have-nots. Kuna wale ni matajiri. Wale matajiri hawawezi kupatiwa ufadhili wa serikali na kuasi maskini apate elimu. We must be a just and equitable society. A just and equitable society means we must have social justice to make those who are worse off better off before those who are better off become well off. And that's what we must do. We must put money to ensure that we bridge the deficit in healthcare, we bridge the deficit in education, we bridge the deficit in housing, so that those who are less fortunate are made to have a dignified life and to be given a fighting chance. And the only equalizer in society. The reason I was in Senate with the son of the former President Daniel Moi was not because of anything else. Outside God, it was because of education. Education is an enabler, education is an equalizer. So we want to ensure kila kijana anapatiwa fursa ya kusoma, so that we are not creating a cadre of lords because they can afford education and creating those of the lower classes because they can't afford education. Na hii serikali yetu campaigned on a platform of giving hope to the hopeless, of giving opportunity to those who are not in the economic prism, a platform of inclusion called the Hustler Agenda. That is the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which is an inclusive agenda to ensure that there's education opportunities for all Kenyans, the rich and the poor. Kwa hivyo, tafadhalini, tukija kwa hizi town hall, we have come to engage constructively because we are honest, we want honesty, and we have come here today to hear you. Na kijana ndugu yangu hapo, tumekusikia. Kijana pale, tumekusikia. We take notes. Na wale yule mwanadada, tumekusikia. Wanaotaka uchaguzi. Na wale waliosema hakuna student agenda. There is a lot. We have said the new funding model has been the most pressing issue within the students, and that's why Professor Mathuki spoke to it. The housing agenda to bridge the housing deficit or the accommodation deficit in the universities has been another. And as we progress, we will come to know more and more of what are the things that we devil or the things that are of a great concern to you. And finally, the instructions I have from His Excellency the President is to ensure
She will be on the panel. She will also be fielding a lot of your questions and also sharing her experience. We have got Faith Nora Lukosi. Faith, please raise your hand. She's a former comrade. Is there something like a former comrade? A comrade is always a comrade, right? Yeah. So Faith Nora is the director at Youth Enterprise Development Fund. She also came with officers from the local Youth Enterprise Development Fund officers here. And we have got Professor Machuki, the Venerable Professor Machuki is around here. He is from the Presidential Council of Advisors. He will be fielding your questions. Yeye ni mwalimu wenyu, so unajua elders wakiongea mnasikiza. And then we have got our James Maina is the Director Housing. He will be talking to us about housing. Then we have got a man I don't need to introduce. A man I am not worth to touch the laces of his shoes. He's an Arab son. A man is around. Pigia him a coffee. He's a communication advisor at the presidency. He will also be responding to your questions about our plans. And here, of course, we have got our sign language interpreter. She has said her name in the sign language. The rest of you, you refuse to learn sign language, you will not know her name. So, very quickly, microphones, please. I'm hoping that we have got the microphones here. DJ, feel free to play music kama kuna gap. Usikuwe na woga. Thank you. Also in the house, just arriving is our treasurer, national treasurer, Honorable Nyakundi is around. So, I'd love to begin with the comrade in the house, Doris. Today, you'll be opening the conversation with us. Hiyo kona kuna consultations mingi sana. So mninulie tu mkono tuende pamoja na nyinyi. There's too much consultation from that end. Msiangalie nyuma, ni nyinyi naongelesha. Hello? Aya, sawa. So, Doris, you are the opener for the conversation today. I'd love you in a minute to tell us about the Comrades chapter, what it is about. Because there are guys who are here, but they're still asking what the Comrades chapter is. Na vizuri pia utuambie umetoka chuo gani? Unaweza kuwa umetoka
What is the government doing for financial inclusion for both comrades and young people?
My name is Nora Lukosi, Wakili and Director at the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. I'm a champion for youth inclusion in policy-making processes and a comrade at heart. Once a comrade, and all of us are here because we are comrades at heart. We understand the challenges you are going through. Tunajua comrades wanainama na tunajua comrades wanagongewa, and we are here to make sure that we are empowering our comrades economically, politically, so that hawagongewi na hawainami, ndio? Yes, first of all, allow me to appreciate our SG, Honorable Hassan Omar, for creating such a good platform to engage comrades in political participation. There is nothing for young people without young people. And what I am witnessing here through this comrade forum is that the SG is empowering comrades, because comrades are leaders of today and not tomorrow. I am a young person as well, and being on the board of Youth Fund, I can attest that the UDA party has the interests of young people at heart. You can see Doris Cherotich, my fellow panelist from TUK, is also a comrade. Maliba is also a comrade, and we have so many comrades in UDA party in appointive positions, in elective positions. So comrades, take advantage of this information so that you can empower yourselves and also be meaningfully involved in policy making processes. I'll be talking about inclusion in policy making processes, and particularly in matters financial inclusion. The Kenya Kwanza government is very heavy on financial inclusion for youth, women, and persons with disability. And there are affirmative action programs that the government has come up with to support young people to be economically empowered. We have Uwezo Fund, we have NGAV, we have Hustler Fund, and we have Youth Enterprise Development Fund, or Youth Fund, which I am here to talk about. Youth Fund is the fund designed specifically for young people, to empower young people through enterprise development. We are here to put money in the pockets of comrades. UDA, kazi ni kazi. Sisi kama Youth Fund tunaweka pesa mfukoni kwa mifuko ya vijana. And I will be telling you how you can access this money to empower yourself while you are still in the university. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Faith Nora. Please clap for her. Unajua, you guys mmepata city juzi. So kuna vile hamshtuki mkiona watu wametoka Nairobi. Mtupigie tu makofi tafadhali. Hata kama mko na city mpya, najua yenu ni mpya. Hey, Comrades power. Viva Comrades, viva. Comrades transact. Nyinyi hamjui hiyo? Sawa. Anyway, quickly, I'd love Professor Machuki. Professor, habari ya leo?
Nzuri sana. How are you?
I'd love you to start where it really matters here. That is the new funding model. I just want you in 2 minutes to explain why was it necessary for us to change, and explain a little bit of it, because kuna propaganda mingi sana, majitu story na hizo vitu zingine. So take just 2-3 minutes to just tell us why we changed and how it looks like and where we are going. I know part of it is in court, but that doesn't stop you from talking about the policy end to it.
Thank you much, moderator. Comrades power. Comrades power. There is quietness there. Or you are TikToking. Is it TikToking? Comrades power. Comrades rear. Comrades transact. Thank you. It will be confirmed. Thank you very much. The leadership of the UDA party, represented by the Secretary General, and herein having the National Treasurer, Honorable Japhet Nyakundi, and all the protocols observed, our chief guests, the comrades. I'm happy that this session is here not only to advance the comradeship in the UDA, but also to mentor the young people so that the strategic intent of His Excellency the President is realized. He talks about the next generation, and this is a deliberate effort to build leadership for the next generation. Quickly, going into the new funding model, it is one of those policy conversations that have gone on, and we continue to engage. And I want to point out that the government of Kenya is obligated to provide public good. And one of those public goods is education, both from the basic education, tertiary, and higher education, that is at university. It is also a fact that for a long time had attempts toward funding universities in Kenya. And as we sit here, early 90s, there were very few universities, and currently public universities together with the private ones have increased in number. And the government is largely concerned with funding students who are admitted to undertake regular programs in public universities, but through a legal change, the amendment of the University Act 2016 provided that government also funds students in private universities. The new funding model came on board because of the issues that were raised in the previous funding model, otherwise called the differentiated unit cost. It has always been an argument that it takes a cost to, for a student to pursue a particular program in the university. The differentiated unit cost was framed in such a way that a number of factors will be considered to arrive at a cost of a program. But what happened is that those factors will be aggregated in a manner that will arrive at an average cost and not the exact cost of offering the program. And even with that average cost, it was clear that government was to fund 80% and household was to fund 20% of the differentiated unit cost. Ever since it was initiated, it happened that government was not able to meet its 80% of the differentiated unit cost, and that way, the framework that was used, which was a capitation framework, where every university will have an account, or let's say a vote with the treasury, and the money will go to the universities and not to the students. So the new funding model came on board, one, to be very realistic with regard to the cost, the exact cost of running a particular program. So if it is law, if it is medicine, if it is sociology, there is the exact cost of funding or of running that particular program. So then government is here buying the services from the universities. The long period of government not meeting its 80%, it made a number of the universities run into bills, and some of them were declared or almost being declared bankrupt, actually insolvent. By the year 2022, 23 universities were technically insolvent. So to sort that issue out, we formulated the fact that one, we need to look at the exact cost of the program, and two, we need to look at the mode of funding. The mode of funding was migrated from funding students at the same level in all programs in the university to fund a student specifically, so that if you are undertaking a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology and another person is undertaking a Bachelor of Science in biochemistry, the cost of running those two programs will be different, and the funding will then be provided for to the universities to follow the students. Secondly, it was established that in our Kenyan society, we have households that have got different economic or income means. And from the 2020 Kenya National Bureau of Statistics household income, annual incomes banding, we found out that there are 5 bands. The lowest one is at 5,000, and the highest is at 120 and above annually. So we then established that different students in our Kenyan society who get to universities actually come from families that have got different levels of incomes. And then, using that particular information, we were able to argue a case that in the old funding model, students who come from humble backgrounds, students who come from backgrounds that are able, they are funded equally. So in the spirit of equity, in the spirit of inclusivity, we found out that there was discrimination in the previous funding model. The new funding model then will consider a background of the student in terms of ability to pay in order to determine the level of need of funding and the cost of the program. Then, we asked ourselves a question. How does government then do the funding? One, students who are at the bottom of the pyramid, those that are vulnerable, those whose annual income is below 5,000, will have access to a higher proportion of the scholarship and a lower proportion of the loan, and the lowest proportion of the household contribution. And the students, and that figure, then that percentage continues to be incremental to those that are in band 5 who are able to fund to a particular degree the level of the loan to be able to repay. Then the scholarship is lower and the household contribution is higher for purposes of equity. Now, ever since this model was then introduced. Students who get admitted to universities, you are required, you get a letter admitting you to a university, and you are told the cost of the program you have been admitted for is 720,000. You are then advised to apply for funding from the Higher Education Loans Board, and in the application, you are supposed to supply particular information. This information, the family background, the primary school that you attended, then the size of the family, and the rest of other details are then taken on board to construct what is called the means testing instrument. So the means testing instrument is not just a creation that is theoretical. It is practical, because it is the information that is provided for, that when it is analyzed, it places you in a particular band to exhibit and demonstrate your level of need for funding. The 2022 KCSE students who were admitted to universities, the new model was applied, and it was fully, they were fully satisfied, and it was only in the 2023 KCSE admissions that issues were raised. And I can tell you where the issues were raised. The issues were just in the operationalization of the means testing instrument, because the information that is provided by the applicant, when processed, it then places a student in a band that they feel they don't belong to. That was the major issue. And therefore, it is what I believe the committee that has been established, and the probably issues that will be canvassed in the judicial system, that we will need to deal with the means testing instrument, but most importantly, the information that applicants give. And the model is very dynamic, in the sense that if you apply during your first year, and in the course of your study, either, unfortunately, we don't pray that that happens, you lose a parent, one or both, then every year you are supposed to update the system. And that is how then the model is dynamic. It responds to the changes in the dynamics of the applicants, but also it looks at the economic situation of the applicants. Ever since this new model was introduced, government budget to education and to higher institutions of learning was increased so that many of the universities that were actually being declared insolvent, the vice chancellors of those universities have come out and have said they are coming out of the indebtedness that the old funding model had driven them to. And therefore, as we engage in this conversation, truth be told, that we are not all equal in terms of economic power. That many of the students who are from the humble backgrounds could be excluded to access higher education because of the inability to pay for the higher education. And that therefore speaks to the priorities of the better plan that the government is using in running the affairs and administration of its affairs. The core principle of inclusivity, that no one will be left behind in this administration, and the students and the children from the humble background are equally brought into the fold to access education from the very basic all the way to higher education. And therefore, that is the whole logic behind the new funding model. The very finer details that I have not been able to talk about here could be issues that will be canvassed in courts and so forth. But I've just provided a broad rationale why the new funding model was introduced. It was based on fact, it was based on empirical evidence, and if anyone is seated here, you could access for the last 5 years what used to happen in the differentiated unit cost funding framework and what has happened in the new funding model starting from the year 2022, and you will be able to have a comparative analysis that is empirically informed, and you will have a conclusion that the new funding model is actually working to get many students into universities and to get many universities out of their indebtedness. Thank you.
Clap for him. It's just important to remind you guys that before HELB, there was something called HELF, established in 1952. In 1992, we reviewed that and came up with HELB. So the arguments that it has always been constant is not true. We graduated from HELF, that is the Higher Education's Loan Fund of 1952 that was changed in 1992 to come up with what we have as HELP, and now we are trying to move to a new platform. We always change to suit our situation. He spoke about equity. I need to repeat that. Equity. Carol, uko na kitu ya kusema kwa Daktari James?
Okay, Mr. James Maina, the question is, I want you to kindly advise on the available opportunity for college students in the affordable housing project.
Thank you. The affordable housing program is an ambitious the government of the Republic of Kenya aiming to develop 200,000 units per year. This program is born out of a long initiative that has happened, and what has been happening in our country and in the world is that the whole world is going urban, and that's our future. Then, if our future is urban, we must make deliberate, intentional initiatives and strategies to ensure that our people will be living in urban areas that have services, and they have houses that are adequate with reasonable sanitation standards. Our country, Kenya, is expected to hit 50% of its population living in urban areas by 2030. Within a few years, majority of our people will be living in urban areas. But what is happening in our urban areas? People definitely come to urban areas. They need places to live, and that is what is happening. Today, in our urban areas, we have over 50% of the population living in either slums or informal settlements with extremely very expensive living conditions. Why do I say so? A person living in a slum or in an informal settlement pays, and this is data that has a record, pays over 100% for the cost of water as compared to a person living in a formal settlement. And of course, the cost of power, sometimes through illegal corrections, is also double the actual prices. Meaning, the poor people are paying more for services than the people who are well or who are doing better. And the initiative of affordable housing to realize